Welcome to Batshit, a frank and funny look at living with mental illness.
While we'll touch on several illnesses, Bad Shit is focused on those along the spectrum of bipolar disorders. I'm your host, Adam.
And I'm your other host, Brad.
And we're both bipolar, so strap in and let's see how batshit we really are.
Spoiler alert, pretty damn batshit. This episode's topic, asshole or illness.
I feel like it should just, like you guys should know this by now. It's just asshole. Like it's always asshole.
It's always asshole. It's always asshole.
Like I probably blame the illness for more times than I should because I feel like, yeah, I'm just an asshole all the time.
You know, that's a phrase that's been stuck in my head recently. I mean, not
asshole all the time.
Asshole all the time. I mean, that too. But is where do I end and my bipolar begins?
Yeah, right. Because especially when you're talking with someone who knows you and loves you, and like for instance, we're both married. Our wives, who we love very much, know how to push our buttons, right? Mm-hmm. And like you will lose patience with them. Understandably, because that's just, or your kids or your parents or whatever. You're going to lose patience with the ones you love who know you well. And I know oftentimes with Mandy, she will see something I'm doing, call it out for being manic, and then I will start to lose patience with her around that same time. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, is that just because I'm being an asshole because I don't like her telling me something and I'm responding badly to her criticism or her calling out my manic behavior? Or is that like my manic behavior causing the asshole?
Right, because irritability.
Yeah, sure.
Is a hallmark of both mania and depression.
Lack of patience, lack of frustration when people not reading your motherfucking mind when you're trying.
Yeah. Why can't you be in my head?
Seriously. Does that happen to you a lot where you just like, you skip the words in the middle of sentences and just expect someone to be like, yeah, oh yeah, I totally know what you mean, Brad.
Yeah, especially when I'm manic. Mm-hmm. And I don't even have to be full-blown manic. If I'm just low-key manic, my mouth can't keep up with my brain.
Right.
And so I'm skipping important information as I'm trying to just keep up with my thoughts, right. My racing thoughts. And I get so frustrated that the person I'm talking to can't understand what I'm trying to tell them. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that just ramps up into anger.
Yeah. And, I found that happens not only in my personal life, but also in my professional life. Like, it's easier oftentimes for me when I'm, like, in a hectic work space or work, schedule, instead of trying to explain something to someone, I will start to try and explain it to someone. I'm manic as hell, so I'm skipping key phrases and steps in the procedure, and I'll just be like, I'll just do it myself. It's easier than trying to explain this process to you, which, especially because I'm a manager, like, that's not great.
Yeah. I've been there.
Yeah.
When you're in a leadership position. Man, when I worked at Technicolor and I'd work those like 80-hour weeks on overnights, mm-hmm. and I was running a department, like I had a few nights where I'd like snap on some of my guys,
yeah,
and felt horrible about it afterwards.
Yeah, but then at the same time, do you remember when we worked at Disney? Mm-hmm. Brad and I both did quality control at Disney for a while, and Brad was the head of our group, and it was. He and I and our guy Mike were kind of like we were the standards. We were always there.
And Ronnie,
good old Ronnie. But there was always someone cycling in and out, and there was one guy who came on, and I can't remember his name, who just couldn't figure out how to use the Roku that we were using. Do you remember?
Oh right.
Oh, yeah. So like you're sitting there and you're going, is this because I'm not explaining this well, or is because this guy's an idiot? And either way, like you're getting super frustrated, I'm getting super frustrated.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are we being assholes right now? Or is he really this dumb?
Yeah.
And is this assholeness caused by us being manic or not?
Yeah, and that's kind of a tough thing across the board because once you know you have this thing, mm-hmm. or any mental illness, right? So much of your weird behavior starts to make sense in light of that illness.
Sure.
But then do you start using it as a crutch for when you're just being an asshole, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder that again. It's like, where do I end and where does my bipolar begin? Is all of the behavior that I dislike in myself, all the things that I do that I don't like, all the things that like piss people off that I care about, are those my bipolar? Because I say they are.
Right. Well, but there's that saying that, for instance, you're never truly bored, right? Like, or no, I'm sorry, you're never truly lazy. Like, that's not a thing. Being lazy is not a thing. It's that you're not engaged, right? Or that what you're doing doesn't interest you, so you just kind of turn off.
Right.
It's not necessarily you being like, the idea of laziness is BS, right? It's a lack of engagement. So could you make the same claim about something like frustration with an employee? You know what I mean? Like, does that make sense? I don't know if that's really, I'm really explaining that well, but
No, I get you that if you're not connecting properly with this person,
right,
then are you coming off like an asshole?
right. But whose fault is it that the connection isn't happening?
Right.
Right? Because
Is it yours? Is it theirs? Is it the bipolar?
right, yeah, and yeah.
Well, this is something that's been on my mind a lot too, because a couple of years ago, there was this guy who was kind of showing up in some writer circles who was very off.
Is that when the writers all get together in a circle and write together? Is that what that means?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that's how writers work.
Yeah, that's how we all work. That's how we all work. Social circles.
Someone's like playing drums. Keep going. That's how they wrote
Give me
it.
a verb.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah, we basically, writing is just Mad Libs.
It's just Mad Libs.
Yeah.
Some of the movies. Keep going.
So anyway, so this guy was showing up in some of these circles and would show up at like book fairs and things, and was kind of a quiet guy, kept to himself, but then would sometimes just be an all-out raging asshole with these like crazy conspiracy theories. And then it came to light that he's schizophrenic.
Okay.
And so there were a group of people online who were basically trashing this guy and for something he had just done. And I'd come on the thread, and this was before I knew I was bipolar. I was just like, I learned the guy was schizophrenic, and I was like, oh shit. And I came on and just said, that he's schizophrenic, and apparently from what I've heard, sometimes he's not on his medication, and these things happen, and he goes into these episodes. And 12 or 13 people responded with, just because you're mentally ill doesn't mean you're an asshole. And I just kind of like backed out of that conversation.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, folks, it fucking does. Because see, here's the thing. Everybody wants to have this movie idea of what mental illness is.
Right.
Is that they want to feel sorry for us, Adam. They want to look at us. They want to see you in depression. And you can't get out of your bed. And you're crying. And and that's what they want to think about.
Right.
And they don't want to accept the fact that, yes, if you're mentally ill, sometimes that makes you an asshole. Sometimes during a mentally ill episode, thank God this has never happened to me, but that guy, when he would go schizophrenic, was incredibly racist. And maybe he was at his core. I don't know. But when he wasn't in those episodes, he never said those things.
Well, see, and that's the interesting thing, right? Because we've talked about in the past how like your filters go away when you're manic, right? So going back to the guy that you were just referring to, he'd get super racist when his, schizophrenia was at full bore.
Yeah.
Right? So
which also comes at that point with like paranoia and delusional thinking.
Yeah, because schizophrenia can cause a lot of things. Doesn't cause racism. Like that's not a byproduct.
But you could understand how like the paranoid delusions could feed racism.
Right. Yeah.
But
that's such a trip. Because I want to harp back to what I was just saying about like the filters go away.
Yeah.
So with your filters gone, that patience that you should have also, I feel like it's diminished, right? Because oftentimes that whole idea of like count to 3, just that's gone. All that's like in the wind. Yeah. You're there is no space, there is no delay between your brain and your fucking mouth, right? Yeah. So you're just firing off your thoughts as quick as they come. And we all self-edit. There's no one out there who doesn't. And with that being gone, like that's how
well, and the brain is so weird. You know how like when you go to get a haircut and you've got your arms under the little thing.
Yeah.
And for some reason, your nose hasn't itched in 2 weeks.
Oh, but bro,
now your nose is itching
all
like
the
crazy.
time, yeah.
Right? Or you tell somebody, like, don't think of a naked woman.
Right.
And that's the first thing that's going to pop in their head, right?
Always.
So you could also see how those parts of the brain, when you're, say you have something like schizophrenia, would fire like crazy. Here's a list of all the things I'm not supposed to say.
Right.
So let's dive into them.
Right.
And just get them all out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you think about like any of the verbal or physical altercations you may have had when you were manic. If you were not manic, you may have been able to talk yourself down from that. You may be able to have backtracked. You may be able to like cognitively dance around the situation and justify that person's behavior. And I actually find myself doing that a lot. I don't know if you do, but I find myself not excusing people's behavior, but justifying it on a regular basis. Like,
since I've gotten diagnosed, I feel like I'm incredibly empathetic to other people.
Sure.
That if somebody is being an asshole, instead of just writing them off as being an asshole, I start thinking like, well, I wonder what happened to them today.
Right.
Or what's going on in their life. Right now.
Or the guy speeding down the highway. I'm like, is he trying to get to the hospital to, if someone was hurt or having a baby or, who knows, right? His house is on fire.
Well, and then you also get into the thing, once you have this shit and you start learning more and more about it, you start wondering if everyone around you has it. Anytime you see like weird behavior out of someone, it's like, oh man, are they bipolar? Do they have borderline personality disorder? Are they suffering from depression?
Right. Well, going back to that whole "am I just an asshole" thing, right? Is every true asshole just someone who's a little mentally off? Maybe, right?
Yeah.
Because especially when you think about people who are continually an asshole.
Right.
Right. Like,
because you've got like irritability.
Right.
You've got there's a kind of self-absorption that comes with being an asshole.
Sure.
That is akin to the grandiosity in a bipolar manic state or to clinical narcissism. Say, you've got this kind of, most assholes seem to have at least like a low-key paranoid distrust of other people.
Oh, definitely.
Which again is a hallmark of all of this shit,
Yep.
To varying degrees. So yeah, I mean, it's like what we were saying about, guys having midlife crises, that it matches all the everything in a midlife crisis matches all the symptoms of an extreme bipolar manic state.
Right. But then that goes back to like, that doesn't mean we can excuse that behavior.
No,
right?
I mean, it comes down, I feel bad for people who might be suffering with something and they're undiagnosed, especially in our culture, because we don't talk about mental health enough.
At all, right.
And it's probably not something that even occurs to them.
No.
I mean, Christ, it never occurred to me that I had something.
Yeah, no way.
Until it did. Boy, did it. So in that respect, it's like I have some sympathy there. But like we've talked about before, you have to own your own shit.
Right.
If your behavior is continually destroying your life and destroying relationships and harming other people, even just emotionally, at some point you gotta man up, woman up, non-binary up.
Yep. However you gotta up.
I gotta go see a fucking psychiatrist.
Right.
Why am I doing this?
I was just on a job where one of the people on the job, lower ranking person, was not getting their stuff done on time. Repeatedly not getting their stuff done on time. And it was like this for 3 weeks. And they were constantly saying things like, I need a mental health day, or I'm not doing well, or I can't handle it. And, part of me, the bipolar person that I am, was like, totally get it. I'm going to give you a couple of like freebies because I've been there. I totally understand what you're going through. There reaches a point where if you are not seeking help of some kind for the illness, then how can you be expected to make a go of it? You know what I mean? In life, be it at work or socially, you have to, like you said, you have to own up. Be like, look, okay, I'm sick. I'm bipolar, right? I'm totally upfront with people who I work with, and I tell them that I'm like, look, I'm bipolar. There will be days when I will not be in a good headspace, but I will do my job.
Yeah.
We'll do my job.
Have you, on that note, have you met people since you've been diagnosed and you're open about it, who you say that to, and they'll say something like, yeah, I think I might be.
Yep.
And I'm always like, why the fuck don't you go see someone?
Right.
Then?
Well, if you are.
Because this shit's awful.
Yeah.
And if you think that you have, that would be like me being like, yeah, I think I have AIDS. Yeah. And talking to somebody with AIDS and then being like, have you gone to see a doctor and gotten the drugs? And I'm like, nah, it's just kind of, I think I might be.
It's just every other day I'm kind of feeling a little AIDSy. And it's not AIDSy. Sorry, any of our listeners who have AIDS.
There's the treatment has come such a long way.
So far, man. Are you kidding me?
It's no longer a death sentence.
But no, you're right. Because people are like, I think I am a little of this, right? I'm a little of that. And I've had a number of people who have talked to me and said that. And I'm like, great, because there are so many resources. Some of them are harder to access than others. We've discussed this in previous episodes. But there are steps you can take. There are even like support groups you can join. You know what I mean? There are podcasts like this one out there where
there are psychiatrists and therapists.
Right.
That's the thing. When somebody says that to me, I have to bite my lip to keep from grabbing them by the lapel.
Bite your lip like a
like sexy,
like sexy. Does that convince them to get therapy?
Is that sexy? Let me look.
Actually, what happens is
no, it's not.
That's what causes them to seek therapy. Is Brad biting your lip?
They're like, oh god,
oh now I gotta go. I don't.
If that guy has this too,
is that what I'm gonna become?
Enjoying Batshit? Please like, subscribe, and share it on social media. If you have someone you think may need to hear it, we encourage you to share it with them and to start your own conversation about mental health.
No, but I do. I want to grab him by the lapel and like throw him up against the wall and just be like, see a goddamn doctor.
Right.
Because this shit has fucking ruined my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the idea of like, well, I think I might have that.
Right.
It's like, if you seriously think that, then fucking go see somebody.
Go see somebody.
And shit's serious.
And what it should be is a situation where they have to say, I think I may have this, but I'm having trouble getting in touch with a psychiatrist or a psychologist. Right. That I completely understand. We both do, right? Yeah. Because the system's broken. Got it. But if you're just sitting there going, I think I may have something.
And that's it.
It was like, well then... it's really hard to...
I mean, that goes back into stuff we've talked about before. People, even if you're talking physical ailments, people will be like, yeah, I think I have IBS, and so I've decided to chew beetroot. And see, I don't know why I keep I constantly come back to beetroot.
Go-to.
It is.
Beetroot.
But I think it sounds so silly.
It does sound silly. I can't even picture a beetroot.
I don't know.
I know what beets are.
It's just a funny word.
Beetroot.
But yeah. Anyway, like we kind of have that in our culture across the board, where it's like I'm going to seek out these little alternative therapies, things that are easy. Things that, I can go to the grocery store and buy this thing and it'll fix me. I mean, have you heard people, because I've gotten this a lot, telling people that I'm bipolar who will tell me that I need to be doing everything from like taking St. John's wort to...
I've never gotten any medication advice. Not medication, but like supplement. I haven't gotten Well, no. They're like, do you get enough vitamin D?
Yeah.
Vitamin D?
Yeah, I get that.
Vitamin
D. I've heard vitamin B a lot.
Yep, sure.
But yeah, you get a lot of that where it's like, well, you just need to be doing this, that, and the other. And it's like, really? I mean, that's all I need to do.
I mean, I wish it was that easy.
God.
Wouldn't it be nice if that's what it was? Just take a vitamin D pill once a day?
And you'll hear shit. People will be like, well, the reason that you don't hear more about that is because of the drug companies. And it's like, what about the supplement companies?
Yeah.
Do you guys know how much money supplement companies make every year?
Forget about it.
It is a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yep.
And much of it is bullshit.
Of course.
And I say this as somebody who takes supplements.
Oh yeah, I take them too.
Yeah.
But
so much of it's bullshit.
I have turmeric pills in the medicine cabinet. Guess what turmeric pills do? A heck of a lot of nothing.
But you still take them.
I still take them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. And so these people who tout supplements or tout essential oils because the pharmaceutical companies make so much money and they spend so much money. It's like supplement companies are the exact same.
I went down the rabbit hole with essential oils before I was diagnosed. Like the rabbit hole of just lavender to go to sleep tonight, tea tree oil, eucalyptus, like all of it. Just trying to find, I don't want to say an easy answer because it's not easy to do that. It's not easy to like research and do that shit. You know what I mean? Like really try. But I was just trying to fix it without doing the deep personal work that needed to be involved.
Right.
So I guess in some respects that was looking for an easy answer.
Yeah. And, you know, like we've talked about before, it's not that none of that stuff works.
Sure.
It just works to a much lesser degree than medication and therapy.
It's a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
It's a Band-Aid.
You know, say prescription medication does 40% of the work.
Mm-hmm.
Therapy does 40% of the work. Well, you're at 80%.
Right.
That's good. The most you're going to get out of doing every single supplement, you know,
Workout, diet,
all essential oils, etc., is fill that remaining 20%.
Which, you know,
and that could be awesome.
And, you know, 20% is better than zero.
Right. But if all you're doing is the 20% where you've left the 80% sitting over here on the counter,
right?
You're like, I'm not doing the prescription drugs. I'm not doing the therapy. You're just hurting yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. If you really feel like you're afflicted with something, why wouldn't you try and treat it with every available mean?
Right.
You know, that's at your disposal. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah. And, you know, a lot of that, I think, we've talked before, comes down to misconceptions about prescription drugs.
Sure. That's a big part of it.
Because it used to be that if you had something like this, that you had to take drugs that basically made you brain dead.
Yeah.
You know, and that's not the case anymore.
No, it's not. Not in any way, shape, or form.
I mean, I feel like if you're, you know, we're in the 20s on the episodes here by the time this drops. If you've been listening this long, then you're probably already on board with us about this.
Well,
but
I don't know. They could be listening to us and be like, they sound pretty brain dead. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
How much lithium are these guys taking?
That's true. But the advances in medication have been astronomical.
Oh, it's huge.
Yeah, and you know, and if that's a concern of yours, talk to your doctor about it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to take something that's going to make me gray. I don't want to take something that's going to make my personality go away.
Right.
And there's so many options.
But going back to, you know, asshole or, you know, disease, think about an asshole in your life, right? Like someone who is repeatedly an asshole that you're doing a podcast with and you just can't...
Wait a minute.
Oh.
I'm the only one you're doing a podcast with right now.
No, but seriously though, think about the person, like think about an asshole you know in your life, right? Maybe they're even kind of aware they are an asshole. In order for them not to be an asshole anymore, they have to work on themselves.
Yeah.
They have to take a look inside themselves to figure out what's broken or what's not lining up right and start fixing it. Start working at fixing it. And that's the hardest part of this. It's not taking the pills. It's not working out at the gym. It's
deciding that you're going to do the work to fix it.
Yeah, and then actually sticking with that
Sticking
work.
with it, yeah.
Yeah, because it's not hard.
Because you're going to feel fucking broken.
Oh, yeah, and it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Oh, so much worse. Yeah. And as you try different medications, sometimes the medication might make it worse for a little bit, and you need to talk to your doctor and switch medications.
Yep.
You may start going through, you know, I've talked before about my dysphoric mania spells and shit. Like, after going on medication, I don't have the euphoric mania anymore.
Right.
I have really, really shitty mania.
Really shit. I got that shit mania.
I got that shit mania. You know, and you're going to experience these things, but it's part of the fight, and you got to go through it.
Yeah.
And, you know, like you said, if you have somebody in your life who is an asshole, I mean, you got to remember a lot of the symptoms with these things will present that way. I mean, with bipolar, you have the irritability. You have, when you're manic, the grandiosity.
Yep.
The world revolves around you. Mm-hmm. And everyone in your life, while you're in these manic states, is just there to serve your story. Yep. Because you're the protagonist. It's the ultimate main character syndrome.
And here's something I want to say to the people who don't necessarily have bipolar, but who are living with people with bipolar. Mm-hmm. Just like you shouldn't stick around for an asshole boyfriend or girlfriend. If someone in your life is not trying to treat themselves, if they're not trying to seek help, if they're not trying to find that medication or that therapist, or they're not doing anything to improve themselves and their mental state and their mental illness. You can encourage them, but there reaches a point where you can only do so much. It's not on you to fix someone else. It's not on you to make them see what they need to do, right? All you can do is encourage. But there reaches a point where you have to recognize the fact that you're not the one carrying this burden. You can't carry someone else's burden this whole time. And if they're not going to help you take some of the load by treating themselves or finding help, like that's in some ways an abusive relationship.
Yeah. And, we've mentioned this before, but you may get to a point where you have to give an ultimatum.
Yeah. Yeah. And because if you're not taking the self-care that we talk about all the time on this show applies to you too. You need to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Because
and even if you're wanting to martyr yourself and bend over backwards to do everything you can to help this person in your life who's suffering from a mental illness, if you're not taking care of yourself, you're not going to be able to.
Yep, definitely. So, I'm not saying walk out on the people in your life with mental illness. God, if we'd be so fucked. If Shannon and Mandy were like, "Oh, we can do that," and they just like, whoop. But definitely, please be aware of the fact that this is a journey that someone who is sick has to go on and seek treatment for. And if they're not doing that, again, encourage them. Give them things like our podcast or books or, support groups or whatever.
YouTube videos.
There's a million different resources out there that should encourage them and inform them that they need to seek the help. Yeah, because...
And that's one of the reasons we created this podcast is, first off, men don't talk about mental health.
No, not at all.
And they're horrible about accepting that they have an issue.
Mm-hmm.
But second, it seems like such a serious, dour topic, and we wanted to bring some levity to it.
Right.
And we get emails all the time with people who say things like this, like I started listening to your podcast. I turned my husband onto it. He's realized he's bipolar. Now he's seeking help.
There you go. Yeah.
And you'll be surprised, and I'm not saying it's just us.
We're pretty amazing.
We're pretty good. I gotta say, we're not bad. We're not bad.
Good.
But sometimes it's just feeling like you're not alone,
right?
And seeing that there's some other people where it's like, oh God, they're going through the exact same shit that I am.
Yeah,
and they're not killing themselves yet.
Right. Right. And soon though. That attitude of like, I'm just an asshole, right? Like being aware that maybe you're not just an asshole, bro. Maybe there's treatment for that shit.
Yeah.
Because I don't think anyone who's an asshole is actively trying to be an asshole all the time, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's at least just poor social skills.
Sure.
If nothing else, because who would want that?
Right. I mean, that's so much energy wasted.
Yeah, and if you do want that, there's something wrong with you.
Right,
and
that's
need therapy for.
Get more therapy. Yeah.
I
really feel like everyone should be in therapy.
They really should.
Yeah.
I've said this before. I don't know if I've said this on the show or not, but I feel like we should treat mental health the way we do physical health, in that it's expected that you go once a year and get a checkup. I think everyone, whether you have something or not, should get a mental health checkup once a year.
Especially when you consider all the tragic or major trauma events that happen in the average person's life. Whether it be everything from
that we just try to suck up.
Car accidents, childbirth, losing jobs, death of a loved one,
bad breakup,
the kids moving out of the house. Like there's any number of things that can set you off.
Hell, you have to put your pet down.
Oh God, dude, yeah. That's, oh my God. When that happens, you're not going to hear from Adam for several months. We better stockpile those. We'll just have like the Adams pets have passed months. Yeah. I don't believe anyone's an asshole. I'm going to say that. I don't believe anyone's an asshole. The only way you're an asshole is if you see yourself being one and you don't try and fix it.
Yeah.
Then you're an asshole.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
If you make the conscious decision to harm other people to improve yourself,
right,
in whatever way, financially, just make yourself feel good, get a laugh, whatever it is,
or not take the steps necessary to fix it, or at least work on it, then you're an asshole,
right?
But
because a normal person should have enough empathy to feel bad for hurting other people. And if you don't, then you probably should see a therapist because there may be something else going on.
Right.
And, it may be one of the things that we've talked about here, maybe what we suffer from, or it may be something like narcissistic personality disorder.
Sure. Wouldn't it be amazing if everyone in the world started treating assholes like they're sneezing? Like someone is an asshole to you and you're like, hey, have you gone to the doctor?
Yeah.
Like I'm sure there's a prescription out there that'll help that symptom that you have because something obvious. You're sick. Oh, I'm so sorry. You're so sick. Yeah. Like someone's yelling at you on the freeway and you're just like, have you tried Lamictal? Have you tried it?
Did I ever tell you my gun story on the freeway?
No.
Okay. So I just moved out here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on the 101, bumper to bumper traffic.
Okay.
First off, for those of you not in California, yes, that Saturday Night Live sketch was right. It's the 101. It's the 405.
Yeah.
So I'm on the 101, bumper to bumper traffic. Nobody's moving. There's this very buttoned up white guy in a Mercedes in front of me.
Okay.
And he starts looking into his rearview mirror and like throwing his hands about and like he's cussing, like he's angry that I'm on his ass. And I look around and like everybody's on everybody's ass.
Right.
It's bumper to bumper traffic. So I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, buddy. Mm-hmm. And then he pulls out a gun and starts waving it.
Oh, God.
And I was like, what the fuck? So I pull out my phone and I very pointedly call 911.
Right.
The 911 operator answers. And I'm like, yeah, I'm on the freeway and there's a guy waving a gun around. And she goes, and? I was like, and I'm a little worried he's going to use
concerned,
it. And she goes, what race is he, sir? Just in case you forgot you're in LA.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, it's a white guy. And she was like, well, call us back if he fires the weapon.
Oh.
So traffic keeps moving. He's still waving it. He pulls over into the right lane and tries to get beside me.
Oh, boy.
So I gun it, and he ends up behind me. And I look in my rear view, and he's still waving the gun. And I call back, and I'm like, hey, now the guy with the gun's behind me. And she's like, has he fired it yet? And I'm like, no. And she's like, well, call us back if he fires it. So I get to the 101 and 134 split.
Mm-hmm.
And I cut over to the right like I'm going to go to the 134. Or I'm sorry, I cut over to the right like I'm going to go to the 101 to Hollywood. He cuts over there. And then at the last minute, I jerk it back to the 134.
Right.
And he's stuck on the 101, so I lose him. That's my spy maneuver.
It's very sweet.
Did you like it?
I was busted ass Dodge Neon or whatever it was you were driving.
But nobody ever called me back to see if, I don't know, I got fucking shot or anything.
Well, no, because if you got shot, then you wouldn't answer the phone.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So that's my asshole road rage story. They say, though, that road rage is an impulse control disorder.
Really?
Yeah. They, not that it's a chronic mental illness,
right?
But they do lump it in with things like borderline personality disorder.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me. Mm-hmm. Seeking help for your road rage will only probably unearth all sorts of other issues, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. To surmise, I don't believe anyone's truly an asshole. I believe something's going on in their life, be it in that moment, be it deep down inside, that is pushing them to be an asshole in that moment. So I think that's where I land on the asshole or disease kind of spectrum. I think I'm leaning more towards disease.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I think so.
So all you assholes who are listening to this and driving down the 101 with a gun in your hand,
go get help.
Go get help. Would it be amazing if some guy's like, oh my God, I need to put down the gun, pick up a cell phone, call a friend. We just saved a bunch of lives.
Put down the gun, call a friend.
Call a friend.
The more you know.
That guy doesn't have friends.
He's killed them all.
He's killed them all with his gun. Thank you all so much for listening. Keep fighting.